Hello, my name's Paul-Beckett, and today I'm going to talk about honesty. And when I'm talking about honesty, I'm not really talking about, who we're telling lies to or anything like that. Talking about honesty with ourselves of where we are, where we're up to, how we're feeling. Um, I've noticed lately a few little bits and bobs with me where I've noticed that I'm trying to not feel what I'm feeling or to kind of bypass what I'm feeling because of my new understandings since realizing my true nature. Um, it's been strange because I've always been like a really, really prolific dreamer. Like I've always had really, really intense and like detailed dreams. I always remembered them. And it's something that I've always enjoyed. But since realizing my true nature, I've kind of realized there seems to be some kind of like pattern to my dreams, or like there's a reason or something. Like I don't want to be like, oh, I'm being communicated with through my dreams or something. But is that the case? I don't know. But I have these really, really vivid dreams, and they always seem to afterwards, when I think about them, make sense for something that's going on. So lately, I've been dreaming that I've been messing up really badly. And when I say messing up, I mean doing things against my better judgment. Um, like I had a dream where I was finding money in a bin and I was trying to hide it from my friend that I was with so I could keep all the money for myself. I had what else? I had a dream last night that I was back in like a in school kind of environment. It was like a boarding school. I was being bullied really badly. And I was coming up with all these like revenge plans about how I was going to get these bullies back. But then I'm watching this dream and I'm like, there's a better way to do this. As I'm watching myself in the dream, I'm looking, I'm thinking, like I'm amused with myself, but there's a better way to do this. And then I wake up and I think all of my reactions in these dreams were like this primal reaction, mine, attack, defense, like it was very against the way I try to live my life now. And I say try because none of us are perfect and none of us are getting it right all of the time. Um, so honesty, I feel like, is a big one because especially when you're on the spiritual path, which I wasn't before. I wasn't before, and let me tell you, it was almost easier because I just was being what I was being. I wasn't holding myself to a standard. I was always trying to be the best version of myself. I was failing more often than not. But now that I know my true nature, obviously, now I'm like, right, there's not that there's a standard I hold myself to, but there's a way I know myself to be. There's a way that I know is my most natural reaction to things. There's a way that I know feels better when I've responded or reacted or participated in a certain way, and that doesn't always happen. And sometimes I've found myself kind of when these things happen and kind of making excuses to myself, and then I'm like, I'm lying to myself here. So what am I doing? Because if there's one thing I know now, it's just that like honesty. It's really honesty with myself. How am I feeling? Where am I up to? How do things feel? If I can't be honest with myself about that, then how am I going to be honest with another person? And how can I witness the honesty in somebody else if I can't even witness my own? So I'll give you an example, right? So on it's no, it's Saturday morning now. We're off school for Friday and Monday this week. It's a bank holiday in Scotland, and on Thursday afternoon, it was the last lesson of the day. I had a young class, like a second year class, second year seniors, and I had had no lunch because I'd been working through my lunch with a pupil looking at work. So I had a protein shake, and I just opened it and put it on my desk. And when I came back to it, somebody had put a pencil in it. And it sounds so funny now because it's like the stupidest thing, but I lost my shit. Who has done this? Honestly, I'm laughing now. But at the time, I really jumped off the deep end over something which, as annoying as it is, as much as I'd need to say to the kids, this is not okay. It's not okay to do this to somebody else's things. Like I would never come up and just shove something in your lunch. It only needed that conversation, but honestly, I reacted. And as I was reacting, I was also two steps away from myself, watching myself, thinking, there's a better way to do this. But did I take it? No, I didn't. I carried on like, I'm not having this. We will sit in silence for the rest of the lesson until we learn some manners. You know, a proper old school teacher. And I was thinking to myself, no, no. But do you know what? I ran with it. And then afterwards, I wanted to go, oh, why did I react that way? There was a better way to do that. I could have done this, I could have done that. And I had to sit down and go to myself, because that's where I was in the moment. And you know what? It's almost got a benefit for me to realize that I'm not infallible. I'm not um I'm not perfect every time. There's always a better choice that I can make, even when I'm making good choices. And having that honesty with myself about, sometimes I'll mess up and sometimes I won't do things to um the best that I could. And sometimes I won't always, my behavior won't always fall in line with my spiritual belief. And you know what? It's okay, because I'm still a human. I'm still a human. I think it'd be really easy to watch these videos and other videos of people who have self-realized and assume that we're sitting here in some kind of like semi-godlike state, like, oh, all the time. And we're still living our lives, and we're still making mistakes, and we're still learning. But we've just got a clearer point of view on it. So again, self-judgment, and then what that brings with it is like guilt and shame. I know that it's not what's meant for us. Okay, so when I have these situations where I've literally just lost my shit over somebody putting a pencil in a milkshake, like, it's, in the grand scheme of things, I actually find it funny now. I'm like, if I'd have been in school, I'd have thought that was hilarious. So I look at myself and I go, okay, I took that really personally, which is funny, because since realizing my true nature, it's very few and far between the instances where I do take something personally. Because I literally don't believe myself to be a person anymore, as weird as that sounds. I'm just like, do you know what? It's okay, blah, blah. But anyway, this time on Thursday, that's not how it went. And so afterwards, the invitation was there for me to heavily judge myself. The invitation was there for me to beat myself up. The invitation was there for me to be like, how dare you try and give other people advice? What are you making these videos for? And look at this, I didn't do something awful, do you know what I mean? I lost my temper, and it's something that, I mean, even Paul before wasn't very like that, but something that very, 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 I mean, I think it's probably the first time actually since all of this that I've actually lost my temper. And so it had me thinking, and I was like, I can't judge myself against a standard, because where is the standard, by the way? Would the standard be me watching other videos online and assuming that they're doing better than me? Would the standard be me listening to Eckhart Tolle or reading Ramana Maharshi and thinking, but they never lost their temper at a class full of kids? Where is the standard? And I think that's something that we're always doing. Am I doing this correctly? What's the standard we're living up to here? Because the standard is within ourselves. We are one. We are one, okay? And I believe that with every cell of my being, every fiber of my being. I believe that we are one, but I also believe that we are dealing with a hell of a lot of personal programming and conditioning, which we've picked up over this incarnation. These little grooves in our brain that make certain behaviors more comfortable or more reliable, or easier, or more familiar to fall into. And that's something that we're all working through with our own separate set of conditioning. No two are alike, in the same way no two personalities are alike. So actually I was looking at it and I was like, it's as much, I don't want to sound like one of these real holy Joes who's like everything's a blessing. But afterwards I was like, God, I'm so grateful that that happened, that I was able to see that that's still possible. And it's so funny because I've been dreaming these last 2 weeks about reacting in situations in a way that isn't ideal, in a way that I wouldn't really want to react. And then in my 3D, it showed up and I did react in a way that I didn't want to react. And I was kind of like, wow. So what had to be the point of that? The point had to be, I'm where I am on the path. I can't pretend to be 10 steps on. I can't pretend to be at the end of it. I don't think this path has an ending. I have to be exactly where I am. And I have to hold that up and be honest with it. And I have to say, this is what happened today, and this is what I struggled with, and this is what I was proud of, and this is all of these things. Because I can't do that weird spiritual thing where I start to wear a cape and, ring bells and burn incense and pretend that the world doesn't touch me, because it still does. It still does, and that's just proved it to myself. And do you know what? I've got a friend, and we speak all the time, and quite often, and I'm not speaking out of turn here. She will say a lot, like in our early friendship, she compared our because we're both self-realized. She compared our self-realizations, if it like, and she had the feeling like, oh, is mine proper or is mine enough? Because it's very different to what you experienced and things like that. And so it was something that we've thought about a lot together. And the advice that I'm always giving is, God, where's the comparison? How can there be a comparison? Do you know what I mean? But that comparison is also something we hold ourselves to. So I had to think to myself, sometimes when that happens, I'm either looking for the lesson in it, or I'm looking for the opportunity to forgive myself. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful to give myself that honest space where I look and I go, oh, that wasn't ideal. Oh, that wasn't the best that I could do. And the fact that I know that it wasn't the best that I do, and I know that there's a better choice, and I can even see what that better choice might look like, is progress. Because I'm not just acting unconsciously and then unconsciously not realizing that there's another way. So the catching myself in the moment, the checking myself like, oh, that could have been better, was a blessing, because I knew what the better way was. And I know that there's been a lot of times in my life before when I haven't even realized there is a better way. Just the way I reacted was the way I reacted, and that was the only reaction that there could have been, because that's what I did. So having those little 2 steps away from myself to be like, could also go like this, was such a blessing for me to see that is there. That's there for me. And I could have listened to that little voice because it was talking to me while I was shouting, but I didn't. And it's okay. I did no harm. I did no harm. I set a boundary with children, and children do need boundaries. You don't play with other people's stuff. I didn't need to perhaps raise my voice. I didn't need to keep it going for as long as I did. But it's okay. I can learn from that. And I'm saying that because I would hate that you were watching these videos, holding yourself to a certain standard, and imagining that these people around the world who have realized their true nature are somehow sitting a step beyond that. It's not the case. I can't speak for everyone. I can't speak for everybody. Do you know what I mean? And I can be tempted to look and look at these, like, guru type characters and assume that they're doing everything perfectly in this blissful state. And actually, what I really hope that they are, because I'd love to think that somebody is. But I just want to let you know right here that I am still living a human experience, and things like that can still happen to me. What's important for me there is the lesson. What's important for me there is the kindness I show to myself afterwards. Because I can get very preoccupied with firing my kindness around, loving, 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 serving, 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 kindness, kindness, kindness. I'm forgetting that I need to turn it back on myself. I am deserving of exactly what I'm given. And sometimes that can be the hardest thing for us. Um, we can always be cruelest always to ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So I was really grateful afterwards, after the fact, of that opportunity for me to look and go, there was a better way there. There was a better way there. Like, as a teacher, yes, my kids need to know that if there's something sitting on my desk, they don't go up and tamper with it. Or if they know that there's something that is mine, they don't go and purposefully try and sabotage it, because that's me teaching them just how to get on in the world. Do you know what I mean? That is my job. That is my job. Apart from teaching RE or art or whatever it is I happen to be teaching, my job is to try and give these kids the tools that they need to get on in the world, to get on with other people. So yeah, I did still need to be like, this is not okay. Whoever has done this, this is not okay. I never want to see this happen again. Let's all write something in our books about how important it is to respect other people's things, something like that. It didn't have to be me taking it so personally as I did, but it was okay that I did, because it gave me a little bit of space there to go, this can still happen. And when this happens, what am I going to do? Am I going to be like, oh, I've lost it. Oh, I mustn't know what I am anymore. Oh, I mustn't know, because every single one of those kids sitting in that classroom is the all as well. There's no difference, and I know that. We're appearing as many, but we're one. Okay, and I know that. Gosh, I couldn't not know it. I know it so clearly, but still something could happen to me where I took something personally, which meant that I felt the separation from those two people. And I've said this in a million videos, my belief in separation now is so, but it just goes to show me that there can still be a situation that could trigger me. So I wanted to say this because the message here has got to be learn from your behavior. I'm not even going to say mistakes, learn from your behaviors and realize that there's always another option. And you know what? What's the point in thinking about it for 3 weeks later about how much of an awful person you were because you could have done that better, or how not aligned with your spiritual beliefs and values that was, or all of these things? Who cares? Look at it and learn from it. And next time, when I am standing those 2 steps away from myself and I'm saying, oh, before you go off the deep end here, there's another way, I go, there's another way. And I do that, God, 50 times a day with other things. But for whatever reason, this one little thing really, really caught me. And so it was so interesting for me to see. And it was so interesting for me to remember that I'm still on a path. I'm still on a path. And that is so freeing and so reassuring for me. Gosh, it would be so easy for me to feel like I need to be an example and I need to be perfect. What is perfect? What is perfect? I'm not. I am still on a path, and I am stood exactly on that path where I am. I don't need to imagine myself 30 paces on, and I don't need to walk backwards to where I've been before. I just need to stand exactly where I am. And what we are will meet me there. What we are will meet me there. What we are doesn't expect me to be any further on than I actually am. And it's funny as well because, the story that's going on around us, the play that's going on around us, it's so easy to invest in, isn't it? And I can say that, saying I'm on a path, knowing truly that none of us are, because we're beyond that. What we are is beyond learning. How can the one infinite being learn? It is everything already. It is every outcome. It's every possibility. So learning is a thing of the human, okay? But while I'm here in a body, being a human, then I'm probably going to learn every day, and that's okay. In fact, that's a blessing. It's a blessing to me to know that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be where I am and to learn and to move in the right direction. So it was important for me to share this because I think it would be very easy if you were on the spiritual path or you were seeking and you were watching these videos to assume that you're the only person fucking up, that you're the only person getting things wrong, you're the only person making mistakes. You're not. You're not at all. So the takeaway from this has to be self-love. It has to be self-acceptance. It has to be kindness. It has to be compassion turned in on yourself. Because we deserve it. We deserve it. And it's funny, isn't it? Like, I think society would, which is the way we feel better about ourselves, is to put it outside. How good am I being to other people? And that is service. Gosh, you've heard me talk about service. Service is a massive part of my life now. But service also has to reflect back in at myself from myself. In moments like that, for me to go, that's okay. You could have done better there, and that's okay. Learn from that. The kindness that I would show to somebody else who made a mistake, I have to show to myself when I make them. And it is so liberating. It's so liberating to know that my mistakes are important too. It's so liberating to know that that relationship I've got with myself can be like that. I'm not a sergeant major to myself. I'm not like, I'm not judging myself. I'm not whipping myself when I make mistakes. So it might seem like quite a simple message, this, and it is a simple message. But I really wanted to share it with you, and I really wanted you to see me being honest about this, because we're all doing it. We're all doing it all the time. And it's a blessing, and it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to love yourself. It's an opportunity for you to examine your programming, to examine your reactions. It's an opportunity for you to show love. Because when you love yourself, when you're truly kind to yourself, being kind and loving other people is a default. It's the most natural thing in the world. But when I'm showing myself judgment, or when I'm holding myself to a standard and being unkind to myself, being strict with myself, it becomes harder for me to be as free with my kindness and as free with my compassion outside. So have a little think, because I know you're sitting there as me, as a human in a world with triggers, with things that go on. And we're going to be doing things like this to a lesser degree, to a greater degree every day. Okay? Try and give yourself that space to go, there's a better option. And if you don't take the better option that time, doesn't matter. You still know that there's a better option, because you'll get another chance. You'll get another chance at it. The lesson repeats as often as necessary. So I just wanted to share that with you today, and to tell you that I love you. Bye.